Good morning. My name is Donald Cruz. I'm an adult reference librarian at the Delhi Township branch of the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County. This morning I'm speaking to Mr. Richard Hafner. This morning is November the 11th, 2006. It is Veterans Day. We are here at the Delhi Township branch of the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County. The camera is being run remotely. And also present today is Mr. Dick Hafner, son of my interviewee. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
It's fine.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing, being willing to share some of the your memories of your experience in the Second World War. I'm looking here at your record. It says you were a corporal in the United States Marine Corps. Hoorah. Tell me a little bit about how did you decide to join the Marine Corps when the war started?
Well, my best friend went down and enlisted in the Marine Corps. And everybody was leaving, all my buddies and everybody. So I said, well, I'm going to try the Marine Corps. And if I don't get that, I'll get the Navy. And then if I don't get the Navy, I'll take the Army. But I didn't want to take the Army at first choice. Okay. So first thing off the bat, I got Marine Corps. That's why I enlisted.
Now, if my mind serves, in the Marine Corps was all volunteer during the Second World War. Is that correct?
Maybe it was.
I think so. I'm not sure about that, but I believe that the Marines were one of the services.
I did enlist, yeah.
What were you doing at the time when the prior to that time? What were you doing?
Factory work. I was working for Lumen Industries.
Okay.
We worked airplane parts for Wright's Aeronautic place out there.
Okay.
They were making engines for these planes.
Okay. Do you remember when you enlisted? Do you remember? Yes, you do. You got the day your service dates right here,
Yeah.
So you probably have a very good idea when it was.
Yeah, I sure do. Yeah, I'll never forget it.
See, it was October. Well, it says that you went your service time. It was October 28th, 1942. So obviously you signed up a tiny bit before that.
Yeah. I don't exactly remember the date I signed my papers on.
Now in Cincinnati, when you went, were there recruiting stations? Did you have to go downtown? With that?
Yeah, we had to go downtown. Yeah, there
Okay.
was about 30, 40 men. And after we were all sworn in,
At the Federal Building.
it's Federal Building,
Okay.
we had a leader was out in the front, and the whole group marched down in the street to the Union Terminal.
Okay.
And that's where we got aboard trains, and we were off to Paris Island,
Right.
South Carolina.
So almost immediately, you basically signed the papers, and it was your.
Yeah. So the train took us to Augusta, Georgia, and there was a 5-hour layover.
Okay.
And we had been on the trains all day long. We were kind of exhausted, so I brainstormed myself. I suggested this buddy of mine I was with. I said, we're going to sit here. We're going to have to sit in a chair or sit in a bench or something like that. I said, let's get a room across the street at that hotel. Just lay across the bed and tell the room clerk to wake us up at 7 o'clock. So we did that. We went over there and woke up next morning. It was 8 o'clock.
Uh-oh.
And the train was going.
Uh-oh.
We were AWOL before I ever got into the Marine Corps. Truly. We walked around Augusta, Georgia, I guess half a day, and didn't know what to do. Finally, somebody said, go to the Marine Corps station.
Okay.
So that's what we did. And they radioed Paris Island to send a message to them. And when we got in Paris Island that evening, there was a corporal there.
So they put you on another train?
Yeah, we picked that train up that night.
Okay.
He said, have you guys had any lunch or had any dinner? I said, no, we didn't have anything to eat. So he took us to a restaurant.
Okay.
And we had supper, and then off we went to Paris Island. That's my son, my other son.
We had a temporary visitor. Okay, so you made it to Paris Island, lucky you.
Yeah. And I guess we were there and on boot training for about a month or two, and the drill instructor said, "Captain wants to see you." I said, "Oh my God." So me and this other fellow went to the captain, and the captain said, what happened? So we told him exactly what happened. And he said, you guys brothers? I said, no, sir. He said, were you drunk? I said, no, sir. He said, well, get out here. I don't want to see you no more.
And that was
That's the way they treat you in the Marine Corps.
that was the last you heard of that subject.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
It was a true story, so. Then I went on, at my service, my boot training. I did everything. We got on a train about a month or two after I was there and went to San Diego.
Okay.
That took about 4 or 5 days to get there. We had to stop and all that. So we weren't there in San Diego very long. I was at Camp Elliott, which is probably named after Elliott Roosevelt.
Right.
And it was a campus there, and that's where we stayed until we got, well, I guess we were there for about 2 months, I guess,
Okay.
maybe less than that. And then
You doing additional training, or are they just waiting to form a unit, or?
I was just waiting to fill a ship up, a troop ship up.
Okay.
And one day we marched down there and got aboard this bus, really, that took us to the train,
Right.
the troop train. And off we went to South Pacific. We didn't know where we were going, but it was, oh, thanks, Jim. It was a long trip,
Right.
and it was dangerous waters, from what I understand. We had to take a zigzag route.
This is probably early in 1943.
43?
Early in 43, probably.
I don't think we got over there to South Pacific until around Christmas.
Okay. So it's actually late 43. Okay.
So after that, we landed at night sometime, and
Where was this?
at New Caledonia.
The Caledonia.
We
Okay.
had no idea what was going on or anything. It was all top secret. Our outfit was named 1160, Unit 1160, that's always numbered. Everything was top secret. So it was a shallow harbor, and they couldn't bring those big supply ships or troop ships into the harbor, so we had to transport with pontoons and boats to get to the dock.
Right.
So after we were there for a while, our ship came in with our supplies on it. We had no idea what we were going to do or anything, so we had to unload that ship. And after a while, we found out we was in a part of the Broad's balloon. That's what we were. We had
Okay.
a great big huge balloon, as big as this room was. We filled them up with helium and let them out 8 o'clock in the morning, dawn to dusk.
Right.
Dawn to dusk. And at that time, they made me a winch operator. I would lower it or raise it and lower it.
The balloons.
The balloons, yeah.
And what was the purpose of the balloons?
They was to keep the enemy aircraft from strafing, coming in close.
Okay.
Getting tangled with the wires and all that
Okay.
stuff. They didn't want to do
So
that.
it's basically a defense mechanism.
We didn't have any attacks or anything like that, fortunately. So we stayed there for a while, and I guess we wasn't getting any action or anything, so they moved us on up to Guadalcanal, and we more or less found out then that we was a defense battalion, and that we were defending those islands that were made secure.
Okay.
We
So
made
you,
them
so you
secure.
went to Guadalcanal after Guadalcanal was captured.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
It
So
was, it was secure, and we kept
Supposed to keep it that way.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So then we kept moving around to different islands for 2 years. I was over there in the South Pacific, 2 years. And that was too bad. There was no more scuffles or anything like that. I never shot any Japs. No Japs ever shot at me. But I was over there for 2 years, though.
Right.
So then I finally got to come home.
Well, when you went over, do you remember anything about the ship you went over on? Do you remember the?
Yeah, it was, the ship I went over on was the Loon Fontaine, and it was a Sweden luxury liner that was taken over by the United States government.
Right.
It was loaded down with the troops. Very poor accommodations.
Right.
Living on the top deck and all that stuff like that.
Meals
Hardly
around it.
enough time to eat 2 meals a day.
Right.
And we had to continue to go back over. We was getting 2 meals a day. So it took us a long time to get over there too, come to think of it. I guess it was like seemed like forever, but maybe it was 3 weeks, maybe a
Right.
month. Yeah. No, I don't need any water, thank you. So I stayed over there for 2 years, and we jumped around all those islands over there.
So what other places did you go? So you started in New Caledonia, you went to Guadalcanal. Where else did you go?
According to my discharge papers, we did the New Georgia Island Group.
Okay.
So that consisted of a lot of
Tiny little specks and
little spots, and they called them islands and all that. So that's what we did.
okay.
And then I was fortunate enough to come back after 2 years overseas. And I come home, and I didn't get married. But I had 30-day furlough. And I went back to Paris Island, and I was a troop, post-troop, secure. I was stationed at Paris Island.
Right.
Permanent personnel. And they put me on the fire department, so I was on the fire department for 1 year, and I was discharged.
Now, did the Marine Corps, several people who I've spoken to talked about the point system. There was a point system, how you got out, so they determined who got out first.
I got out first. I got out because I had a lot of points. I was over there for 2 years. I think you got 2 points for every year, and you only needed 28, something like that.
Right.
That's what it was. But that's why I got out so quick there. Right as soon as the settlement was peace, I got discharged.
So when you were in the islands, so you're doing these, what sort of duty did you have? You're saying, so the combat had ended in most of these places, but like in Guadalcanal, what did you do while you were there?
Really, I can't remember doing too much over there, to tell you the truth. Let me see now, if I can remember.
Were you building? Were you loading or in?
No, I guess maybe we was walking around the islands, and because they was all bombed out and everything. And there was nothing but coconut trees. They were bombed over. And they had I'll never forget, they called that Hell's Point. They had an ammunition dump. Right
This
on the
is at
beach.
Guadalcanal.
Yeah.
Okay. Hell's Point at Guadalcanal.
Yeah, and it was an ammunition dump that was just loaded with tons and tons of ammunition. That's as far as they would carry it up to the beach. Then it was the responsibility of the Marines to come and get that ammunition. Well, the Japs dropped a bomb on it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where they got the name of Hell's Point. So I don't know if it killed a lot of people, but it sure blowed up the ammunition.
There was still a big hole there when you got there.
Yeah, I guess we just roamed around the islands as far as I can remember. I don't think we stayed in one place too long.
What kind of living arrangements did you have? Were you in tents? Were you
Tents for 2 years. Yeah, 6 men, and we had like strict rules that we had to put the mosquito net up every night
right?
and take it down in the morning, and we had to take a pill for malaria.
Right.
Malaria was pretty bad, and
Quinine, I'm assuming.
quinine, yes, right. I think they called it quinine, yeah. And a lot of guys didn't take it because it was making
Makes
us
you
yellow.
Also upsets your stomach. Some people.
And what they started with was that they found that out that some of the guys wasn't taking their pill, so they'd have an assembly in the morning and they'd call your name out. Well, as soon as you say here,
Down the hatch.
yeah, call me and throw a pill down your throat. It was only a little tiny pill, but and it wasn't real bad, and it wasn't really good, but the ocean was beautiful, in the mornings, like a lake, Pacific Ocean. The food was terrible.
Was it all C rations, K rations? Was everything rations?
No,
or?
we got food from New Zealand, some kind of a fair trade, and we got mutton.
And lots of it if it came from New Zealand. Lots of it.
And if we was going to get mutton, you could smell it all in the island for miles. It didn't smell too good. It didn't taste good either.
Would have been happy with some C or K rations at that point, huh?
Yeah, that's right. We'd have great big long Listerine bags like this here for our water supply. They would put it in there, and we'd have about 5 or 6 faucets all the way around where you can fill your canteen up anytime you wanted to. But they had chemicals in there too. It was pretty strong.
So, I mean, was the water, did water come from the ships, or this actually, did you put salt water in this?
I don't
What was?
know where they got
I
it.
doubt it was salt water. I know.
It was salt water, and they probably had to put a lot of chemicals in it.
Try to get the.
I'm sure that that's where they got it. I don't know for sure. But, yeah.
And then how did, you said you came back, what did you, do you remember the ship you came back on?
I don't remember that, no.
Remember that?
Coming right into San Diego and right back to, I guess we stayed at Ellicott.
Ellicott? Elliott, you said earlier, right?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So, I was like assigned to Paris Island for 1 year, and I got to come home, discharged.
So, between the time you enlisted and when you were finished at Parris Island, did you ever make it home while you were?
Never had a furlough.
Never had a furlough the whole time?
Yeah.
So you went straight from San Diego to Parris Island and stayed there until the end of that service?
Yeah.
And then you came back?
Yeah.
And you came home?
Yeah.
No reserve duty after that? No reserve requirement after you?
No. See, I was a volunteer, you might say. I wasn't drafted or anything like that.
Right, right.
So, very successful. I never regret it. It was a good duty.
Any other memories you want to share with us? Anything else that happened in those?
One accident happened was we were rolling 55-gallon drums of gasoline up to the top of the dock to get them level up there.
Was this on one of the islands?
Yeah, New Caledonia.
Okay.
Unloading the ship, and there's 55 gallons. This guy was pushing on that side, and I was pushing on this side. And he must have let go of his side. It fell on my foot, my right foot. Compound fracture of my right foot.
Oh, no.
I was sent over to the mainland, called it Numia, I believe, yeah, and I was in the hospital for about 2 months.
So the mainland was New Guinea or
No,
or Australia?
The mainland was in New Caledonia. New Caledonia was a pretty good-sized island.
Okay.
And it had like Free French and the Vichy French.
Right.
And they were still fighting amongst themselves when
Okay.
we were there, since the different governments. So our hospital was on that island.
Okay.
They called it, did they call it Numia? I believe it was Numia.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, I was scheduled to go aboard this hospital ship, Solus, which was out in the bay.
Okay.
And the next day, they were going to take all the convalescent cases at the hospital, clear them out, so make more room. They were going to put us on ships, and we were going to go to New Zealand,
Right.
to the hospital there. And that night, they had a big battle at sea, and they brought in all the wounded ones out in the ship there. A lot of them was burned cases.
Right.
They brought some in the hospital where I was at. Then they loaded the rest of them up in this USS Solus, and off it went to New Zealand.
So you stayed where you
I had to stay where I
you
was.
were.
I almost got to go to New Zealand, but I didn't get there.
So your your foot healed up, and they were
Yeah.
kind enough to send you back and
Yeah, I
back
got
into the
good care.
onto the islands.
I had to go back. Yeah. And then the sad thing was when I was over there, my letters were censored for
Of course.
a month, for
Right.
maybe 6 months. And I sent them to my wife, and she still got them. They got holes all over them where it was cut out. And my unit was 1160. That's the only 116 Fleet Marine Post Office, San Francisco, California.
Right.
And my mother died, and they sent a telegram to. Mind you, they just sent a telegram to San Francisco Fleet Marine Post Office. Somebody put a stamp on it, and it went on a Liberty ship. It took 30 days to get over there where I was at. By that time, I was in the hospital.
Right.
My mother died and was buried, so that was a sad time.
Yes, I'm sure it was. Very tough being away from home and
Yeah.
how all those sort of things happen.
I couldn't go, I couldn't get
Of course.
out, couldn't get out of it.
Of course not.
Yeah, so, other than that, nothing else.
So now, when you get it now, you talk about mail, any kind of mail. Now, is that in the Pacific, did they have the V-mail like they
Yeah,
did?
email. She
Okay.
still got them letters too.
Right.
Email, yeah. Free mail, it was all free too.
Right?
How about the entertainment there, when they would let you show you movies at night?
Yeah, we had movies pretty much. And,
As you were hopping across these islands?
Yeah.
Yeah?
We get one beer every night. And I never drank then, so I used to sell my beer.
Ah.
$1 a bottle, the Pabst Blue Ribbon. And I guess it was lousy anyway, so we got a movie and a beer. That was free. We had a lot of fun.
Over time, did you keep in contact with any of the guys who were in the service?
No,
over the
I
years
jumped
afterward?
around too many times and all that stuff, and I kind of lost contact with everybody. And we didn't have anything like a group picture and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
We didn't do any of that stuff.
There's a few guys you remembered, and that was kind of...
Yeah, it was all busy, busy, busy all the time. It's going here, going there. But that was good times, it wasn't bad.
It was what, Wederick from around this neighborhood that you?
Yeah, one of the fellows I met on the ship coming home, ship stopped at Guadalcanal, and that's when I got on to go home.
Right?
And maybe some other guys did too. And I met this friend of mine that was in the 1st Marine Division, and they're the ones that landed on Guadalcanal.
Right?
So Jackie Wedrick and I went over, I come home with him, and we had 30-day furlough together.
Right?
So, yeah, he's seen some action with that 1st Division.
Yes, I bet he did.
They landed on Guadalcanal.
And you just kind of bumped into each other while you
Yeah, I was
were
surprised.
headed home.
He was a private, he told me, he said he was an acting corporal.
Acting corporal.
Acting corporal.
I see.
See, you might mention Paul Rich, Dad.
Yeah, well, I didn't get to come up with him.
He was your friend that enlisted in the Marine Corps, then you followed.
Yeah, he was the reason I went into the Marine Corps, yeah.
Lived right down the street here in Delhi.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. He's dead now.
From
He was wounded on Saipan. He was in third Marine Division.
Right?
And I seen him at Camp Lejeune, and it was dark at night, and I didn't talk to him or anything, so I thought maybe I'd see him again sometime. But I never did. And finally he went from Camp Lejeune. That must have been 6 months, a year later. Went to Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
And stayed there for a year. But they were preparing and building this 3rd Division. So he was part of that 3rd
Okay.
Division. They landed on Saipan. He was wounded. He got a shell shock. He got his helmet knocked off, and he got Purple Heart for that. And then he eventually died.
Did you guys have any serious thoughts you'd be involved in actually landing in Japan before any of us knew about the atom bomb?
No, not us fellows, I don't think. But I could tell you that I was almost ready to go on a couple of those landings. And at this particular time, we had a sick call. So anybody that's want to go see the doctor or the corpsman, or, well, not the corpsman, but the doctor,
Mhm.
you had to get permission from the corpsman to do that.
Right?
So I had trouble with my feet. I had gout, we call it gout. It's like jungle rot
Right?
between your toes.
Okay.
So I showed it to the corpsman, and he said, "Why?" He said, "You got a red streak going up your leg." I said, "I didn't know anything about it." He said, "You have blood poison."
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "Go see the doctor." So I went to see the doctor. The doctor doused that powder back in there and said,
Some kind of sulfur
"Yeah,
drug?
yeah. Go to your tent." So that's how. And we were getting ready to get aboard these landing crafts to make a landing. I was in this tent city,
Right?
and the tent city was nothing but, I mean, it was thousands of tents.
Right?
And that's where they were staging. That was the staging area there for this landing. It's really blew your mind. know.
Do you know where they ultimately went? Do you know where what they
No, I
went to
don't, I
attack?
really don't. I think there was a couple campaigns going on. It was moving along pretty good on them campaigns. At that time, there was a Peleliu, and I don't think going to the bigger names, but I can't remember the other than there was Peleliu and
Ultimately Okinawa.
Okinawa. Yeah, I think Okinawa come in there too somewhere. But they was all getting ready for landings, but
So you literally were about to go and this medical issue came up and...
Yeah, it saved me from going aboard that ship. I would have been in the combat. But as far as I can remember.
So you bumped into your brother Charlie while you were there.
Yeah, let's see, where did I meet him at? Well, I guess when I come back from overseas. Since he was in, he was at Cherry Point, where he was at Cherry Point. He was in the aviation.
The Marine, the Air Base at Cherry Point, North
Your
Carolina.
older brother Charlie.
Yeah.
Where were you when VJ Day happened? Do you remember? Do you remember when you heard about the fact that, either heard about the atom bomb or heard the war was over, the
Yeah.
great events at the end of the war?
I can't remember that. That's dead in my mind. I can't remember that.
Did you remember Pearl Harbor?
Oh, yeah. But, nobody, that time, nobody knew where Pearl Harbor was.
Right, they just as well have been,
Pearl
yep,
Harbor.
it was the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Where were you then, Dad? Found out about Pearl
Well, it
Harbor.
was in the evening sometime. I think we was in a pool room.
Here in town.
Yeah.
Here in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share with us? Anything else you can?
No, that's about my whole life.
Well,
Story.
that's great, and it's certainly been good to hear about. It's always fascinating to hear about people's experiences, and
Yeah.
we certainly appreciate it. All right, I've been speaking to Mr. Richard Hafner on his experiences in the United States Marine Corps in the Second World War. Again, it's November the 11th, Veterans Day, so it's a privilege to be speaking to a veteran on this special day. Richard, thank you very much.
Okay, fine.
Certainly
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.